Hi everyone, and welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time joining, welcome. My name is Brittany, and in today's video we are going to be doing a step-by-step sew along. If you're a beginner and you're new to sewing, this is definitely a pattern that you can do. We're going to be sewing along to McCalls 8092, and I'm going to be following along with view C on this pattern. The fabric that I'm going to be using is this fabric right here. This is actually my completed dress. I'm recording this intro after the fact. But this right here is the finished dress, and this is the fabric that I've chosen. I had this in my stash for about 6 months. I found it at my local Joann's. It is a rayon. It's actually a crinkle rayon, so it has a little bit of texture to it. And I found it over in the silky fabric section of Joann's. I didn't want to disrupt this print too much because it has kind of like these border designs. This fabric was either going to be a tiered skirt or this dress, and this dress won. I do want to mention that this dress has a lot of ease in it. I cut the medium on this dress and it fits me nicely. So before you just cut your regular size, definitely double check on the finished garment measurements on the bottom portion of the pattern. Just look for the finished garment measurements and find your measurements for your bust and your hips, and then you can decide which size to cut. Again, I cut the medium. So go ahead and get your pattern pieces and your fabric all cut out and prepped, and let's get started sewing. To begin sewing our dress, the first thing that we're going to do is put our fabric right sides facing. So I'm going to open up my fabric. This one here is the front and this is the back, and I know that because I put some X's right here on the back and a couple of the flowers so I can know. And then you can also look at your notches. So this right here is a double notch that indicates the back of the garment, and then the single notch indicates the front. So right sides facing, I'm going to go ahead and lay my pieces together, and now I'm going to pin down both of the side seams. So go ahead and grab some pins. You want to match up your notches along the side, and we're going to start pinning in place. Now that I have one side seam pinned, I'm going to put the other side together the same exact way, and I'm going to just pin down that side seam. Once we have pinned both of the side seams, now we can go to the sewing machine and we can stitch at a 5/8 of an inch seam allowance, and then we can go ahead and finish off the raw edge. So let's go ahead and do that now. Alright, I've just stitched my side seams together, and I've also went ahead and finished them off with my serger. So you can see I have a nice clean finish right here. If you do not have a serger, you can use an overlock stitch on your machine. You can use a zigzag stitch. You can use some pinking shears with some fray check. You can also use a little bit of binding if you have that. So you have a couple options if you do not have a serger. So now that we have stitched our seam, I'm going to go ahead and press it. Alright, now that we have one side seam pressed, I'm going to press the other side seam, and then we can move on to working on our sleeves. To begin working on our sleeves, here are both of my sleeves here, and we're going to put them right sides facing. So I'm going to take this one and fold it right sides facing, and take this sleeve and right sides facing, and now I'm going to pin down my sleeve seam here. You should have transferred a notch. You want to line that up and pin in place. Now that we have both sleeves pinned, you want to go ahead and stitch at a 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. And then after you have it stitched, you can go ahead and finish it off with your serger or however you're finishing off your seams for this project. Once you have your sleeves sewn and you finish off the raw edge, let's go ahead and press our seams. Once you have pressed your seams, now we can go ahead and finish off the hem of them. If you are going with view A or view B, you can just create a narrow hem. If you're doing view C, then we need to create a casing for the elastic. And to create the casing, there was a fold line on the pattern. We're going to fold up along that fold line and give that a press. We want to fold in 1/4 of that raw edge so it'll be clean like this on the inside. So let's go ahead and give this a good press now. Once we have pressed up along the fold line for our casing, we can go to the machine and we can stitch close to this inner fold right here, but make sure that you leave an opening so that we can insert the elastic. So let's go ahead and begin stitching now. Now that we have created our casing, I'm going to go ahead and grab my elastic. So right here, this is the elastic I'll be using. This is 3/8 of an inch elastic. And my sleeve, I actually cut the length for B and not for C. So if you cut for C, then you need to measure around your wrist and then add 1 inch. But mine is a little bit shorter because I cut for B. So I've measured up here along my forearm, and I've taken that measurement and I've added 1 inch to that. So here is my piece of elastic. I'm going to attach a safety pin to one end. I'm going to grab a sleeve and find the opening, and I'm just going to pull my elastic through. All right, once you have pulled your elastic through, I'm going to pin it to the other side. And I'm just going to slide my arm in here just to see if it's comfortable, if I need to adjust it, if it's too tight, too snug. Okay, that fits nicely, so I'm going to go ahead, remove my safety pin, kind of feel to make sure the elastic didn't twist around. And now I'm going to lap it over like so. And now I'm just going to go to the machine and secure the elastic. I'm going to do the same exact thing for the other sleeve. And once we have the elastic secured, now we can close up the opening that we left here along the hemline. Now that we have our sleeves sewn and we finished off the hem, now we can go ahead and install them to the dress. So here is my dress here, and with right sides facing, we're going to pin the sleeves on. First, you want to make sure that you identify where your notches are. So this here is a back. All right, here's a single notch, and it's going to match up to this single notch. I'm also going to match up my side seam and my underarm seam, and I'm going to pin in place there first, just to make sure I have those nice and even. And now I'm going to match up my notches and pin there. And now we can continue pinning the sleeve on. Okay, I'm going to pin the other sleeve on the same exact way, right sides facing, and then I'm going to stitch at a 5/8 of an inch seam allowance and then finish off my seam with my serger. Once we have the sleeves installed, so I have both of mine sewn on, I finished off the raw edge with my serger here. The next step is to go ahead and create the casing around the neckline of the dress. And we're going to do that the same exact way that we did for the sleeves. So you want to go ahead and press down along the fold line, press under 1/4 of an inch of the raw edge. You can go ahead and stitch it, being sure to leave an opening to insert your elastic, and then I will meet you right back here before we pin on the elastic to insert it. So go ahead and press again, press up your casing, press along the fold line, press up the raw edge, and go ahead and stitch it, being sure to leave an opening to insert the elastic. All right, so I am back from the sewing machine. I have created my casing along the neckline of the dress, and I left an opening right over here to insert my elastic. Let me just cut these loose threads. So I'm going to be using this white elastic here. You want to grab your elastic guide, which is pattern piece number 4. Grab your elastic and just measure it out. You don't need to pull it, but just measure it out according to your elastic guide pattern piece, and then go ahead and cut the elastic. So here is mine. I have my safety pin here, and I'm just gonna go ahead and insert it through the opening that I left open. Once you have pulled your elastic through, you want to go ahead and remove your safety pin. Just check to make sure that the elastic didn't twist while you were pulling it through the casing. And now we can go ahead and secure it together. Let me just make sure I have it nice and straight right here. Okay, I'm going to lap the ends over and secure the elastic here, and then I'm just going to close up the casing the same way that we did for the sleeves. Now that we have the elastic casing around the neckline complete, you can go ahead and add your label if you have one to indicate the back of your dress. And the last thing for us to do is to go ahead and create our narrow hem. So you just want to press up 5/8 of an inch, fold in 1/4 of an inch of that raw edge, and then stitch close to the inner edge. The same exact way that we did for the casing, except we're not leaving an opening to insert elastic. So go ahead and complete your hem, and then you are all done with your dress. Well, that is all for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. I really do hope that you all enjoyed it, especially if you are a beginner. I hope that you were able to follow along with me and that you were successful at making your dress. If you have any questions, put them down in the comments below. Be sure to like and subscribe, turn on your notifications, and I will see you in the next video. Blessings, everyone. Bye.